Welcome to another episode of the Create Your Vibrant Life podcast. Today, I have who I call as the manifestation queen as a guest. She is also a soul sister, and her name is Trupti. Trupti, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and anything you want to share about you? And then we'll get the conversation rolling.
Hey, Padma, thank you so much for having me on your wonderful podcast, which I just want to let you know that I was actually listening to one of your episodes in the shower today. So I love your podcast. So thank you so much for having me on this. And to everybody who is listening, hello. My name is Trupti Karjinni. I am a master manifestor who teaches practical manifestation tools and a money mentor for visionary entrepreneurs to help them unlock new levels and new dimensions of abundance in their business by bringing radical authenticity and helping them embrace their beautiful human imperfections. And that is what I do in the world. And if I might add a little bit of a note to it, this is actually before I showed up with this to record this podcast episode, Padma, I actually wrote this down because you might know it. Some of you might know it. Some of you don't. I recently changed my entire identity because just 6 months ago, I moved from India to Calgary in Canada.
That's why I call you the manifestation queen.
And that was a major manifestation. And with that move came a complete identity shift. So in my past identity, I taught watercolors, I was a creative coach, and that still is a part of who I am. But then my identity expanded to teach practical manifestation tools and, be a mentor for online business owners.
Just fabulous. And I love that story. And maybe we can share a little bit about that story. But before we go into the identity piece, so you and I both are projectors, and we both have our identity centers open, which means we literally can be anything and anybody that we want to be at any given point. So when anybody asks me what do you do, I'm always like, what do you want me to be right now? I can be that. So
I identify with that so much. And that honestly, I feel like, when I talk to other people about human design, they look at their undefined centers and they kind of feel a little dejected about it. But I'm like, no, you're missing the whole point of it. You can actually do whatever you want in your undefined centers. And this is actually a great superpower to have, because that has allowed me to form really deep, intimate connections with people in different circles. So yeah, I love being an identity chameleon.
Yeah. And you've shown so much courage. I watched your journey for the last 2 years now, I think. And watching your journey, like, you have really stepped into who you are. So share with us a little bit about your journey and what are some of your own superpowers that you have drawn in to this?
Such a big question. So I'll start from I was born and brought up in India, and I was born in a middle class family. And with our education system and everything, I got deeply conditioned with a certain kind of being, right? A lot of, valuing achievements over fulfillment, valuing external measurements of success over inner feelings of success. And all of that, well, that worked. And then, I was in the corporate world. I quit that to, be an artist, because I started painting all of a sudden randomly. And that was my first, I think, stepping into my power was because I've studied engineering. I'm an industrial and production engineer by degree. And I worked in the software industry. Then I worked as a marketing associate in a civil, engineering company and everything. And then I started painting with watercolors. And for the first time in my life, I found a great deal of happiness and fulfillment. And now that I look back, I found a lot of safety in that medium because it is so unpredictable to paint with watercolors. And for me, somehow that unpredictability created a safe environment for me because, again, I could be and do whatever I wanted in that state. And so I started painting and started just casually posting it on social media. Within a few months, I had 10,000 followers on Instagram. And, I think I just started a new job. I was a newlywed at that time in 2017. And within 8 months of me starting to paint, I formed my own art supplies company and I quit my job to get into, being a creative full-time, a creative business owner. And, that's where.
Helped you, sorry to interrupt you, but I'm curious, like what helped you make that transition to saying, okay, I'm going to quit this job and go after something that I love?
It's funny that you asked me that. And the answer is so simple, Padma. It felt right. It felt right within my body. It felt right within my soul to do that. And that's all that I had going on at the time. It was this really strong instinctual feeling that, oh my gosh, this fits. This feels right to me. And because I was already so miserable in my job, because I'd been in different corporate roles before, and I've studied engineering, I've had a strong, science background, been the class topper, when I was in school, had the first rank, won all the competitions, did all those like achievement focused things. And I think it felt right because there was nothing to achieve when you're an artist. All that matters is your creative expression and the joy that you find in it. And that was the first time in my life at the age of 26 that I ever felt that.
Wow. Wow. And then you had the courage to start your own company right then.
I think, so this is what makes it easy for me to commit to the hard things. It's just that before I started my own company, I was starting to make an income with my artworks. I was selling my artworks. I put my artworks on a calendar for 2018 and then I sold those. I sold 75 copies and my income at that time was like around $1,500, Padma. And that meant the world to me. It was as if I'd earned $1 million in a month, It was so big for me. And to me, what gives me the courage to do the challenging things or the so-called difficult things is I get so much out of it. And then once you go, because if you've experienced a lot of hardship and struggles in your life, and then you get a taste of freedom and fulfillment on the inside, it's very easy for me to say, well, I've come this far, I've never come this far before. I want to see how good it gets. And I have a desire to find out how good it gets. And that is the thing that keeps me going. That is what gives me the courage to follow through, the courage to move through discomfort, because I know that, when you paint and you have your own business and you have the freedom of, financial autonomy like that, why wouldn't you want to kind of find out what more is possible for me? And that has always kind of like led me deeper and deeper into the woods to find my own path. So yeah, that's what gives me the courage.
Yeah. Yeah. And then from there, you've now just the word that's like pivoted.
Yes.
To starting your this newer business. Right. And so like, that's a lot of, that's you following your heart again and again and again.
Yes. I mean, honestly, it was a big decision, and, I kind of relaxed in the whole process, and I've gotten really good at listening to my intuition. I've gotten really good at listening to my higher self through my intuition, because I'm a splenic projector. And thanks to you, I have such a good understanding of what my human design is, which we will talk about in depth, further into the episode. But it feels like a big pivot. And honestly, it is a big change, from going from teaching watercolors and having a really successful watercolor membership to then shutting it down, shutting that is extremely profitable, has a brand recognition and everything, and then moving into teaching manifestation. But the reason why I'm able to do it is I've been a business owner for the past 5 years. I've been an entrepreneur. I've been a mentor to many people over the past 5 years. And all of this has come from practice. You practice it, you practice how to trust the universe, to trust yourself, and to know that I don't need my 10 steps laid out for me. I don't need to know what my next 10 steps are. All I need to know is like the next one or two. And I know that as long as I follow through, I take those steps, the next few steps will light up for me, and it all comes with practice.
Wow. So tell us about your manifestation. Like, what do you teach, and talk to us about manifestation?
Well, okay. I feel like manifestation has become such a buzzword these days. I think especially in the last 2 years. I know that statistically, it is one of the most searched for like words and topics in Google results and all that stuff. And that's a good thing, because I am so happy that people are finding about manifestation, because I believe that the simplest definition is to creating a life by design, to creating a business by design, anything you want by design. And many people, define manifestation in different ways. But for me, the way I look at manifestation is it is a complete integration of mind, body, and spirit. And where I focus on is it's not just important for people to understand what manifestation is or know the steps of manifestation, but it is so important for everybody to embody these tools, techniques, and principles that, that manifestation comprises in your daily life. Because how many people have you seen who take courses and who read all the books and who watch all the YouTube videos on manifestation, and they're like, yeah, this is great. But then as you are going through your very real 3D life, and when you come across those obstacles, when you come across these things that can block you, are you pulling out those tools and techniques? Are you pulling out those things that you've learned, and have you not just doing it, but also embodying it, right? It has to feel authentic, and not just in your thoughts and mind, but also in your body. And then also ultimately, your relationship with the spirit and everything. And so that to me is manifestation. It's a complete picture. And the way that I have experienced it, the way that I have manifested a multitude of things in my life, and I continue to do that ceaselessly, So it's not just to me. So I always say, don't just learn how to manifest, learn how to be a master manifester. Because you and I know the importance of the be, do, have framework and how sustainable it is. In fact, in my experience, I found that to be the only sustainable framework to work from. And manifestation, again, it's not anything else. You don't just learn how the steps to do the manifestation, you learn how to be a master manifester. And that way, when you embody that identity of a master manifester, or like you called me, like the manifestation queen, whatever you want to call yourself, that's when manifestation becomes a way of life. That's when manifestation becomes the ceaseless, never-ending, continual process in your life. And it is so much more magical to live life that way, because then you don't have to like remember, what are the steps to manifest? What are the techniques? But it goes a dimension above that. Because you're a master manifester at all times, you naturally approach things differently, and then you realize your power, you step into your power, and you create your life by design, unapologetically.
So. Oh my goodness. Wow. So how does one start the process of being a master manifester?
Oh my gosh, I'm actually like recording a module in my course in exactly that. And I think that where you begin to be a master manifester is by focusing on your identity, because that, I believe, can lock or unlock everything that you want to create in life, because life itself is a creative process. And I also believe that my background in being a creative, in being an artist, actually plays quite a big role in my identity as a master manifester, because I know the power of creating something that's in your mind, and then you let it flow through your body onto the paper, onto the canvas, and you create a thing of beauty. And it's the same with life, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Right? And so where you begin is by looking at your identity. What is your identity comprising of? And part of this process, and I practice on the practical side of it. So I think about, when people are going through their daily life, how can I make manifestation a natural part of that life, not something that they have to put life on pause and then come and look at my course or listen to my podcast or something like that. But how can I make it part of my students' life so that they are embodying it throughout their life? And so you start by looking at your identity and then forming this alternate identity that you want to be, and then deconditioning parts of your old identity, letting the parts that keep you comfortable, but they also keep you in pain, right? They don't serve you. So releasing the disserving parts of your identity, and then consciously curating your new identity. And I believe anybody can do that. And so when you work from the identity part of it, and then you combine a really powerful purpose, a life purpose, which you talk about a lot, Padma, right? You help people realize their life purpose so much. And that is incredibly important, because that, I think, even trumps identity, because when you have a really strong purpose, then everything flows from that. So you tie the identity with this strong purpose or desire that you have in your life, and then you work from there to become a master manifester. What do you think?
Oh, wow. Amazing. Amazing. So how did you become interested in this for yourself?
So the funniest thing is, and this I follow in anything that I teach. When I was teaching art, and now when I'm teaching manifestation and aligned business strategies, if I have gotten phenomenal results in my life with something, then I naturally want to just teach that. And this again illustrates why identity is so important, because I am someone who is very quick to share her riches. If I find something that makes life really good, because I used to have a life that used to feel extremely miserable. I used to have a life with a lot of unhappiness and anger and friction in my relationships, within myself, just so much pain. And when I find out a way of life where it can be truly fulfilling and downright magical, honestly, I'm not even going to shy away from the word magical, because it is magical. I want to share that with the world. So I was teaching art, and then I manifested the biggest thing, which I call a keystone manifestation. So do you want to hear, Padma, about a keystone manifestation? So I came up with this concept, and then I put it in my course. So a keystone manifestation, I believe, is a manifestation that when you actually manifest that in your reality, it dismantles a lot of limiting beliefs and blockages that you have. It is that manifestation which, when you meet that manifestation in reality, it becomes solidified. The belief becomes solidified in your mind, body, and spirit that, yes, I can create my reality by design. I can literally manipulate reality with my thoughts and intentions and heart and body and spirit, right? And to me, manifesting my move from India to Canada was that, And then when that dismantled everything, and I saw that, oh, wow, I was able to manifest this, but in a very practical way, because I learned many, many principles. And then I took them and I really, really found very easy ways to really apply it in life. And when it did happen, and then more happened, It's not like, again, like I said, it's not just one thing. After I manifested my move here, so many other things, have been manifesting, and they will continue to be manifesting. That is the keystone manifestation. And I was like, okay, what if I help people with this? Right.
Mm.
And that is how, I pivoted from teaching watercolors to then teaching manifestation, because that's how my dharma evolved. That's how my identity evolved. And if anything that I've learned in my life, from being an engineer to being a software engineer, then a marketing person, then an artist, and now teaching manifestation business, is that our life purpose evolves because our identities are malleable, our identities evolve. And it is so important, I feel, for us to stay agile and to be open for that evolution and to shift where you need to shift and move. And so that's how I've come to teach manifestation, because I'm like, I found really practical ways to do that. So I would love to share this with someone else.
Wow. That is so amazing. Amazing. I love that, the keystone manifestation. And so finding that is what started this whole journey for you, or like manifesting that started this whole journey. So that's in so many ways, it's almost like what you're saying is like, that is the doorway.
Yes.
To stepping into who you truly are, your own power. And like that, when you do that, like starting with that one keystone, but then it opens up so many other doors.
Yes. And the funniest thing is, I moved here 6 months ago. So at the time when I was getting in the flight in India and then landing in Calgary, I didn't even know that I would completely pivot into teaching manifestation and business strategies.
Wow.
I did not know that, Padma.
Wow. Wow. And it's been 6 months already?
It's been 6 months already. Like, what does it feel like to you? Does it feel like it's been longer?
Yeah, it feels like it's been longer or
Wow.
shorter. Like I can't tell, like time feels warped in this.
Totally. And I feel like it's something that I've been playing with, warping time and dilating time. Because I've been like really examining my relationship with time. And I realized that, because of my burnout, some of the past trauma that I was storing in my body, it made my relationship with time really skewed and distorted. So I've been like, okay, how can I change that? What if, because I know I'm a master manifester, for sure, I should be able to control time. So I've been practicing kind of dilating time and warping it. And I feel like, because I've spoken about this to a lot of people, and they're very surprised when they hear that I've only been here for 6 months, yet so much has happened in that 6 months. So, and I've rested, I've played. It's not like I've been chained to my desk doing a lot of things. Like a classic projector, I've been resting, playing, having fun, and so much has happened still. So that experiment is still going on.
Nice, nice. I love that, how you're taking manifestation to a whole new level. It's not just with the material things, it can be with anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is so are you allowed to share what is the next thing you're manifesting, or not yet? Like you're not allowed to
So here's why I wanted to kind of, also talk about human design in this episode as it pertains to manifestation. Because I don't believe that manifestation looks like this one hardcore process for everybody. Sure, you can learn the basic principles and learn to embody these universal principles and truths. But then ultimately, as I learned from you, is that we're all born with this specific energy bodysuit, energetic signature. And so I believe that, because of our human design and because we're such unique individuals, manifestation at the end of it looks different for everybody. And it's almost like, how every artist has their own style, whether or not they're aware of it, whether or not, they can see it, but you can see that every artist creates with a different style. And I think that everybody creates their reality as well with a different style. So for my next manifestations, I honestly have given up on trying to predict it, because what I have found out in my journey is that the universe always has something so much bigger and better than what my puny conscious 3D brain can even imagine or conceptualize. Because I can tell you, like, even 2 years ago, when you and I first met, I would not have predicted that one day, like just 2 years later, I would be sitting here in Calgary talking to you on your podcast, and you and I would be collaborating, and just how could I have imagined this back then, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm open to life just taking a lot more meaning and details and beauty than what I can even imagine now. I feel in many ways this is a beginning. All I've been feeling, Padma, though, and you can tell me, okay, like tell me energy wise, because I know that you're more well versed with this. I have been getting energetic glimpses, and you can also say like a taste of what is to come. And I don't know what exactly it is, but I can like get glimpses of it sometimes, especially when my mind is calm, I'm working out or something, and I'm on a walk. I get these like glimpses. Oh my God, maybe this is what is going to happen, but I can't say for sure. But ultimately, what I have learned to do is it's so much easier to just trust and surrender
Right.
and be in a receiving mode for something even better than what my brain can conceptualize right now.
Yeah. No, it's beautifully said. And that goes back to what you said before. I don't need to know all the 10 steps. I just need to
Yes.
know the first 2 steps. I just need to know the first step. And then that opens up more doors. So exactly what you said, the universe is so much bigger. Like we know so little in comparison to what's possible.
Yeah. Yes. And oh, I wanted to like say something, but then like that point just, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about the next steps, right? Why I say I don't need to know the next steps is because I've done it before. I have tried to draw out the next, not even just the 10 steps, but the next 20 steps or the next 50 steps. Because I used to be such a freaking control freak. Um, and then it all just goes in the bin. And then I think about, whoa, I just wasted so much of my energy and so much of my time just trying to map those steps out, when I know that like 2 or 3 steps ahead, it's the direction is going to change. And year after year, I used to do this like, goal setting in this very traditional way. And then it just never panned out like that. And so what I've learned is to just like kind of stay open. And then it all works out way better than I imagined.
That is it. Stay open and let the magic unfold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is so, so, so beautiful. So beautiful. There's so many different places I want to take this as we are, as I'm, I don't plan out any of these episodes. I'm like, let's just talk, see what unfolds. So if you can guide somebody for the first, like, how can someone wrap their head around the first thing to manifest? Or not thing, like, you know what I'm saying, like the first step to manifestation.
So I've actually been laying out the different steps to manifest, and in no particular order. Actually, like, let me think about it. Can I come back to this question later, maybe?
Yes, we can absolutely come back to that.
Yeah.
And I love this. I love that, this is so projector thing too. Like, okay, I just need to sit and process that a little bit before I can formulate my thoughts. I know it's in my body. Like, how do I get this out?
But you know what it is? Until I learn to embody my human design, until I, learn to embody my projector identity, I would get so nervous about it. I would have approached this podcast interview or any other podcast interview in such a different way, just trying to like be anxious about it and to control everything. But now, I just know that when I show up and I speak from my heart and I let my intuition kind of take over, what is needed to flow through me will flow through me. And that just makes like content creation and just speaking to your audience, whether you're writing Instagram posts or emails or you're recording podcasts, it makes it so much easier. And I actually want to talk about more about human design and manifestation. Should we talk about that? Because
Absolutely. Go for it.
that is, for you and me, I feel like that's such a juicy topic area. So the reason why human design is, I believe human design is, it's important to get an understanding of it, which is why there's an entire module on human design in my manifestation course, is because we know that manifestation is a co-creation process with the universe, right? It's not a passive process. It's not enough to just sit and wish and visualize, right? That's not enough. You need to take aligned action. That's very much a critical part of the process. And so what I believe is, because aligned action is a part of this process, and I hope that, everybody, when they think about their aligned action, it is coming from a being first, that they're being their future self, and then coming up with their doing aligned action part of it, right? That doesn't look the same for everybody. That because of our human design. And I have a lot of experience with this because I am a splenic projector, I'm a 1/4 splenic projector, and I did not know what that meant when I first found out about human design. And once I kind of went deeper into it, and then you and I did that session, I had that session with you when you pulled up my human design chart and you gave me a deeper understanding of what my energetic signature is. That is when just so many aha moments happened. That is when I released misaligned ways of working, because up until then I was taking action. I just didn't know that they were not aligned action, they were misaligned action. And let me just say this, it is possible to manifest with doing things that don't align with you. Okay. Because until I, really delved deeper into this world and started getting a deeper understanding of myself and releasing a lot of trauma, perfectionism, control that I used to just control so much, trying to control and leaking my energy. I took a lot of action that weren't suited for my projector type, and I did manifest business success. I did manifest a lot of money in my business. In fact, I think my first 6-figure goal that crossed was from the misaligned actions. So it's not to say that you can't earn money or you can't have success through misaligned actions, but ultimately it's not going to taste good. That success, the money, and something that I've been realizing is, that money is endless, right? It's so easy to make money in the world, especially in the age that we exist in. There has never been an easier time to make money. There have never been so many avenues to make money. So you can make money from many, many different things, but then you need to ask yourself, well, when money flows from this channel, does it taste good to me? Or when money flows from this channel, does it taste good to me? And I did have a lot of money and everything, but I didn't have happiness. My health was completely shot. I was burning out over and over again in these loops. And I was stuck in this hellish burnout loop. And no amount of money or success or achievements ever really gave me that inner peace that I was looking for, right? And that is where I believe human design comes in that when you understand what your energetic signature is, when you understand what aligned action can look like for you, then the whole process becomes so much more fun and joyful and playful. And what that looks like for me is very different from what that looks like for a generator. And then we're all creating these gorgeous, miraculous lives through our own aligned path, and then naturally that comparison drops away. You're not creating a business model looking at your mentor's business model or that person that you keep comparing yourself to. It's just not going to work out really well for you. So that's why I think it's really important to have the conversation of human design when you're having the conversation of manifestation. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, yeah, you nailed it. You totally nailed it, because that is such a key piece. How, and I have two children, right? And one of them is a projector and one of them is a generator. And I see
Oh.
how they manifest things so different, and how they make things happen. And I'm using children because children are the purest form of how easy it is to manifest. You can see it in action.
Yes.
Have all the conditioning that we do, and so it's so different. And so yes, it makes a huge difference on how you show up in the world, because we can't go as projectors, like I have to be invited in. And that's not that I can't make things happen, but when I'm invited, the signature is a lot more brighter, if I may use that word. And then, like for you, yes, you made the money, but how much more money can you make? Right?
And how much more money actually flowed into my life, though? Like, I have physical proof. I have proof in this very real 3D world that when I shifted from, when I leaned into my projector identity, you said something about me stepping into my power in the beginning of this interview. And that was really me stepping into who I really am as a projector and embracing that many of the things that are aligned for me make no sense in a world that is generally designed for generators and manifestors and manifesting generators. And so, yeah, that was really what it was. Stepping into my power was really stepping into embracing that a lot of the things that I do don't make sense. They go against the grain. But number one, of course, it immediately resulted in a big shift in my revenue. So like I said, I told you, like, my business crossed 6 figures for the first time in 2020 when the global health crisis happened. So at December, it was, crossed 6 figures for the first time. And then literally the next year, 2021, it crossed into multiple 6 figures. We closed at multiple 6 figures. And that was the year when I worked the least. Everything was imperfect. I was going through that like painful cocoon phase, the dark night of the soul. And to think that, and I was also like actively leaning into my human design and, taking that kind of imperfect, very authentic, radically authentic way of leading people and leading and teaching and everything. But that resulted in multiple 6 figures of revenue. And I'm like, holy guacamole, this is working. This is not like some sort of woo-woo thing that you just like randomly listen to it on a podcast. This stuff actually works. And so through my own experiences, Padma, and that's the thing, right? Everything that I teach is through my own experience. Because, only when I've embodied it, only when I've gotten repeated results of it, and I understand the nuances of what I've learned, that is when I actually take the step to teach it, which again ties to be to have. But then coming back to the two things that happened when I leaned into my human design, one, the money just flooded in even more so into my life, and beautiful manifestations like moving to Calgary and then, pivoting into teaching manifestation, getting 50 freaking students in the first round of my manifestation course, even before I started creating it. All of it was just the projective beauty of it. But then the second thing is, because I leaned into my projector identity and I radically embodied that and I modeled that for my students and my people, that has given so many business owners and entrepreneurs the permission that they were looking for, whether consciously or unconsciously, to embrace a new paradigm of leadership, to embrace a new paradigm of creation. Wow. And that has been quite an honor to witness. So yeah.
This is so beautiful. Wow. Wow. You're like you are a walking, talking embodiment of manifestation.
Honestly, I found that like that's the easiest way to exist in this world of online business, because then I honestly feel like I don't have to put in a lot of effort in marketing. I don't have to put in a lot of effort in sales. It just happens very automatically, because that is a result of embodiment, which again then ties to identity. And you know what? I got the answer for the question that you asked. What is the first thing that people should focus on when they want to manifest something? And I got the answer. And that is, you must be willing to acknowledge your desires with the lid off. And along with that, you must have the belief that if you have the desire, it means the possibility or that alternate reality of you already having that desire in your reality is also possible. And why I say that this is so important is because a lot of people want to manifest things, right? Everybody wants to manifest things. Everybody wants a really good life. But when I really ask people, what do you want to manifest? What are you setting your intentions? They hold themselves back, even in acknowledging their desires, because they're like, no, but then that's too good to be true. That's too far out of my reach. And so they block themselves. And then I say, if you won't even allow yourself to even dream of that, to even visualize that, right? Even acknowledge the possibility of that, how then will you go about creating it? You are creating friction and resistance literally at the first step. And we've been conditioned that to have big desires is to be greedy. That's something that we've learned. And Padma, you and I both come from the same culture. So
Yeah.
you would identify with this, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So don't be greedy. Don't have big dreams. You can't want this and that, right? How can you want everything? But I believe it's a beautiful thing to want big things for yourself, because I have seen with myself, with other people who inspire me, when they actually acknowledge unapologetically that, yes, I want this kind of life, and they go after it and they manifest it, that creates massive ripple effects.
Mhm.
And so in wanting big things for yourself, you're really creating the space to have giant ripple effects on other people. And I've seen that when we want big things for ourselves, we kind of induce a permission in other people to want good things for themselves. And I've never seen anything bad come out of good people wanting big things for themselves.
Yeah. Is that what you mean by saying desire with the lid off, like without any limit to what you want? Like just go after that?
Yes, I mean, and it's not just with the material stuff, right? You can have it all. You can have the money, you can have the fulfillment, you can have an impact, you can have a great relationship and a family and everything that you want. But most of the times when I see people and I'm like, okay, let's get manifesting whatever it is that you want, the want is they limit themselves in the want, they limit themselves in the desire.
Beautiful. So
Yeah.
beautifully said. Wow. Wow. So many amazing nuggets here, Trupti.
Thank you, Padma.
Wow. So can you tell us how people can find you and work with you?
Yes, people can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at Trupti Karjinni. They can find me on my website, thrivewithtrupti.com. And my powerful practical manifestation course is coming out in January. So people can DM me on Instagram and get on the wait list. And I'm really hoping that wondrous, magical things can happen in people's lives through that course. And also, my podcast is coming up really soon. Not sure when,
Awesome.
but I'm manifesting it to come out really soon, because again, being on this podcast kind of again anchored into me how much I love talking about these things. So yeah, that's coming up soon too.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing. That is so beautiful. Like the podcast, I'm so glad you're starting your podcast, because that is such me starting the podcast, I kept waiting for invitation because I thought that I have to wait for invitation to start my podcast. But the
Okay.
invitation came from divine consciousness. It didn't come from
Yes.
the thing. So start it. I think it's amazing. You're going to start that. I'm so excited.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my love. I'm really excited to begin it too.
Yes. Beautiful. So I'll put everything in the show notes as well. And can you spell your last name just so that people can find you at?
Yes. Yes. So it's at TruptiKarjinni. Trupti Karjinni.
Thank you, because some
Yeah.
people read the show notes, they just want to go directly. So
Perfect. Thank you so much, my love. And thank you so much for having me on your beautiful podcast. And I really hope this helps your people.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is so inspiring, very, very inspiring. And you said so many amazing things that I think if people need to listen to it multiple times.
Oh, thank
What-
you. Well, I appreciate this. This was amazing. It was such a beautiful experience and it already made my day. So thank you again so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for making my day.